My dear people of God, this Sunday let's reflect on being ostracized or segregated from one's own family or community or society. In the Old Testament times, the thing that did this to individuals was a disease called leprosy. It was considered as an incurable disease except by God. The understanding of this disease is completely different now. Nowadays, it's not a major dangerous disease, for it can be treated and cured. But at that time, it was frequently considered as a divine punishment for some serious sins. The disease belonged among the worst evils. To be afflicted by leprosy meant almost a living death, healing of which was equivalent to being raised from the dead. And who could do this? Only God. Only God could cure leprosy and raise someone from the dead. The first reading of this Sunday is taken from the book of Leviticus, chapter 13. According to Leviticus chapter 13, a priest, an Aaronic priest, was to examine an individual suffering from skin disease. So if these three symptoms were observed, then the person was declared as a leper. So which are these three symptoms? First, if there was a swelling on the skin, it meant a local inflammation or a boil. Second, an eruption, which means a slight cut in the boil over the skin and which appeared like flakes of skin. Third, if there was a shiny patch on the skin. So if these three symptoms were seen, the individual was declared as a leper. Now a leper was considered ceremonially unclean, frequently prevented from entering the holy city of Jerusalem, and was socially ostracized from everyday life as a preventive measure. There are many cases of leprosy in the Old Testament. All of them point to a situation of horror and dread for the person who suffered from leprosy. A leper would lose his dignity of being a part of God's people, since they had to live outside the village, not among the people. Their life was a life of scavengers. Their life was a life of unwanted feelings, of sadness, of emptiness and loneliness. Nobody would approach them. They had to wear torn clothes, often shave their head, and by covering the upper lip had to shout, "Unclean, unclean," so that nobody would come very close to them. Now something beautiful happens at the coming of Jesus Christ. The whole scenario changes. Why? Because Jesus is not an ordinary man. He is an extraordinary person coming from heaven to establish God's kingdom on this earth. All sorts of people suffering from various kinds of diseases and sicknesses came to Jesus, and He would heal them, cure them. In today's gospel passage, we see a leper coming to Jesus and begging Him to make him clean. Jesus was moved with pity. He touched him and made him clean. People would never dare to touch a leper, but Jesus did. This leper really believed that Jesus had the power to make him clean. Now, by making him clean, what Jesus does is this: He brings back this segregated person into the community, into the society. He was barred from entering the holy city or the temple. Now Jesus is giving him back to the community and allowing him to participate in the worship that takes place in the temple. Remember, Jesus Himself is the temple. Then Jesus does a very beautiful gesture. He asks him to go and show himself to the priest as a proof to them again. Remember, Jesus himself is the high priest, but he respected the role of the priest in the temple. Why? Because he recognized and respected the law that was given through Moses, which was according to the mind of God. And therefore, my dear people of God, it's so very important to go to a priest, especially for confession. He alone has the authority to declare us sinners clean by forgiveness of sins. So you see, according to the thought of Judaism, only God could cure leprosy. Only He could bring back the dead person. And here, Jesus does it. That means Jesus is God. He is the Son of God. He has come down on earth to fulfill His messianic mission, to bring back all those who were lost, all those that were cut off from their families, from their loved ones, from their communities. And today, He invites each one of us to go and spread love. Not to divide, not to ostracize, not to segregate, but to unite people, to embrace people, and to heal. God bless all of you.